Perfectionism feels like a wise protector, right? Perfectionism is like, hey, if you are flawless enough, thoughtful enough, smart enough, you will never risk rejection or feel shame. And it shows up at work, when we're networking and socializing, and even in our friendships. Perfectionism really hurts our friendships. And today we're going to be talking about how it does so and how we can stop and just have a more enjoyable experience and have more connected friendships because we're being less perfectionistic. Hi, welcome to the Socially Delightful Podcast. Welcome back. Hey friend. And if you're new here, hi, I'm Jewel. I have over 5,000 hours of coaching on high functioning social anxiety, feeling connected, authentic charisma. I'm trauma informed. I'm doing work for us to center connection on a systemic level. And I'm always learning. And I'm delighted that you are here. Perfectionism, for so many of us, is a built-in survival strategy because we live in a culture that is built on performance, likability, and conditional belonging, right? Patriarchy and capitalism have taught us to equate our worth with appearing effortlessly flawless. Have all your shit together, babe. How many of us have had that thought? Or I'm not doing enough, right? We internalize early on that mistakes, messiness, and that emotional needs just aren't safe. And y'all, perfectionism's hidden cost in friendships, it's hurting us in so many ways, right? Perfectionism has us overanalyzing our interactions, even with our closest friends, right? Replaying conversations to hunt down every perceived flaw. Like, oh my gosh, could they have thought I was being rude here? Could they have thought that I was like snubbing them when I wasn't? Should I have said that differently? Perfectionism also shows up like if somebody doesn't quickly respond, like fast enough or warmly enough, or quietly, like, oh my gosh, like let's spiral in uncertainty and insecurity. Like I've totally let them down, right? Perfectionism just has us often shouldering the emotional weight of every interaction, right? Silently believing that it's our responsibility to ensure that others have fun, that others feel heard, that others feel comfortable. And if you're like, yeah, Joel, that also kind of sounds like an attachment thing, you would be right. You would be right. Some insecure attachment styles are also likely to be perfectionist as a way, again, of coping. Because we're thinking the whole time, if I'm perfect enough, if I'm perfect, then I will get other people's approval. Perfectionism is also really tied in with people pleasing, right? If they're happy with me, that must mean I'm doing a good enough job, right? So without realizing it, in all of these ways, perfectionism is eroding our emotional closeness, right? It makes vulnerability, which is a core ingredient of meaningful friendships, it makes vulnerability feel impossible. And instead of feeling known and loved in our imperfection, we become exhausted likability to other people. So y'all, if you haven't already, you should check out also episode 10. It's called Why You Feel Confident Around Strangers But Overthink Interactions with People You Know and How to Stop. I really dive into why that's a thing, but one of the reasons why is when we are in friendships with people, when we are in relationships with people, there's more opportunity for them to see our flaws, for them to see us being imperfect. It's not just that the stakes are higher, it's that, hey, I don't want you to see me like that, right? So this can really harm our ability to feel connected with other people. But we don't have to wait to have more fulfilling friendships, right? We're going to sign a big imperfection permission slip today. And I'm going to give you a 3-part path on how to release perfectionism a bit more in your friendships. So the first thing is to unshame yourself, to actually practice being vulnerable. Notice how I didn't just say, be more vulnerable, because y'all would have been like, okay, we've heard that, Jewel. Like, that advice, heard it, unoriginal.
Oh, look at you! You're so unoriginal.
But like, actually, are you actually being vulnerable? Probably not, right? Perfectionism is a way for us to cope with the shame that we feel. Like, here are all of the flaws, all of the imperfections, even all of the mistakes I made that I made in the far past, even though I'm not that person anymore. Here are all the mistakes I made. I do not want other people to see it. No, ma'am. No, I don't. Right? I mean, Brene Brown says outright, okay, in her research, in her books, that shame tells us that we have to earn belonging by hiding anything that is unpolished, anything that we feel a little bit of shame about, right? But true belonging with other people doesn't require performance. It requires making, like, all of us, for the most part, visible. And I say all of us for the most part because depending on the friendship, it might look like, okay, I share more about me with this person, and then I share like the whole story with like my bestest friend, my confidant, right? But vulnerability creates connection, y'all, because it signals psychological safety. When you start showing up as your more authentic self, cheesy but true, when you start showing up as your more authentic self, not just your best self, you activate what is called limbic resonance, which is the emotional attunement that allows us to build intimacy and trust with other people, right? In our friendships, this is what really allows other people to feel our presence, understand our heart, know more of who we are as a person, and not just like observe our persona. So you've got to look at, okay, what are the things that I feel ashamed of? And how can I look at those things, have some more peace around them, and practice being vulnerable with them? Again, for example, if there's a situation from your far past, you're not going to tell your friend that you sit next to at work who you met 3 months ago, hey, let me tell you about this like really crappy thing I did as a teenager, or let me trauma dump on you about all of these things, right? I'm not saying that. But I'm saying if you're like, okay, I feel ashamed that, sometimes I'm not more knowledgeable about things that are going on even in the world, right? Like things going on politically. Okay, how can I have more acceptance around that? Maybe there's something I want to do about that, something I want to learn more about. And how can I start owning that and talking about that more with other people, right? So that even might look like in conversations where political topics have come up, things going on in the world come up, you're like, hey, actually, that is something that, I, like, vulnerably, I am trying to learn more about, or, that is something that I sometimes feel, you could even say, like, ashamed of. This is what it means to be vulnerable with other people. But in order to be vulnerable with other people, in order to have community with other people, to have meaningful friendships with other people, that means like confronting so much of the things we feel ashamed of and not using perfectionism as a coping strategy to block ourselves. Right? So unshame yourself and practice actually being more vulnerable with other people. The second thing is to utilize the science of self-compassion. It sounds a little cheesy, but it's wildly true and empowering, okay? And yes, I said the science of self-compassion, right? So perfectionism creates what psychologists call hypervigilance. It's a state where your nervous system is like constantly scanning and scanning for any kind of threat. And it might think any kind of threat is any disapproval or rejection, even in like safe environments, right? This used to show up with me with my amazing, loving friends that I have been friends with for years, where I would be like, oh my God, they're judging me. They think I'm horrible. They saw that I can be weird in not so much of a fun way, but just in an awkward way. Oh, they saw that I can be a bit of a bitch sometimes. Oh no, right? So we're scanning for all of these possible threats. This is what hypervigilance is. And this constant state of like self-monitoring, it just fuels overthinking, rumination, self-doubt. But when you place that within a lens of self-compassion, it makes the world of difference. Self-compassion helps us really like regulate our nervous system to be in the more, if you're familiar with the nervous system work, to be in the more like safe and social part. It does. It regulates our nervous system for us to feel more grounded, present, and confident in real-time interactions. So according to Kristin Neff's work, which is where I'm getting all of this from, I really encourage you to check her out. Her work on self-compassion is that people who treat themselves kindly during moments of awkwardness or rejection are more resilient in relationships and experience less social anxiety. This is a step to have more fulfilling relationships and not letting perfectionism block you from feeling connected with other people. So utilize the science of self-compassion. Be compassionate with yourself in moments where you are feeling anxious, in moments when you are feeling like that twinge of, oh, they're judging me, that twinge of rejection sensitivity, right? Be compassionate with yourself. Take a breath. Say some kind words to yourself. Keep going, all right? Because, again, perfectionism will just have you scanning and self-monitoring. Y'all, we do not have to self-monitor for everything that's even a little bit embarrassing. But being embarrassed is okay. It's not the end of the world. Being an imperfect human is actually, as if you've been listening to this podcast for a while, it's actually what helps us connect with other people, sharing our imperfections. I mean, how many times have I said that, right? And being compassionate, unshaming, being compassionate with ourselves helps us do so. So the science of self-compassion, just to get really specific here, is done, and Kristin Neff has studied this. This is her entire life's work, right? She has broken it down to 3 things: mindfulness, common humanity, and self-kindness. If you're my client, you're like, we know, we practice. But mindfulness, and I'm going to do like the very like reductionist version of this, but mindfulness is really just labeling the feeling or the experience that you are having, even the thought that you're having. So in a moment where you are starting to notice somebody's like disapproval, being like, okay, here's my rejection sensitivity, right? They're not giving me a facial expression where they're beaming at me. They're just giving me a very flat, neutral expression like this, if you're watching. Okay, I'm noticing that I'm starting to think they're disapproving of me. Some rejection sensitivity, calling it out, labeling it, being mindful, just naming that experience in your mind's eye, in your head of like, I see that. I think it's helpful to say, just in general, to have like one word of like, I see my rejection sensitivity, right? And for you, you might be like, okay, I don't know if that's rejection sensitivity, but that could be like, I see my negativity bias, right? I see my social anxiety. I see whatever it might be. So mindfulness, labeling the experience. 2, common humanity. Now, common humanity, in a very simple way, is really normalizing the experience. How is this a normal human experience? So common humanity is, how is this a common experience in humanity? So that might look like, it's normal to not like people disapproving of you. It's normal. A lot of people, right, assume that neutral expressions like this mean they're negative, right? A lot of people struggle with social anxiety. That's okay, right? It's, again, normalizing the experience. So that could be a lot of people. It could be like, anyone wouldn't like somebody like giving them a scowl. All right. So this person's scowling at me. Nobody likes that, right? Of course that creates a little twinge of a feeling in my body. So normalizing, that's what number 2 is, common humanity. Now number 3, again, self-kindness. So self-kindness is this is how I like to break it down for clients. It's like kind of gentle thoughts or empowering thoughts. So like, it's okay, sweetie. It's fine. I got you. I like to think of it as like, okay, can you bring out your inner gentle parent? Or like that best friend energy who's gonna like pump you up, you know? If I call my best friend, even my most gentle best friend, and if I call her and I'm having some kind of feeling, she is going to talk to me like this. She is going to be like, Jewel, you are amazing. Right? I love you. Like, I am so inspired by you. It's going to be fine. You can handle this. Be proud of yourself. Even my most gentle friend is going to talk to me like, right? So self-kindness, I think, can really be brought out in that gentle way, that empowering way, gentle, like, it's okay, sweetie. I got you. It's fine. You can, take a moment to breathe after this. Or like, hey, you've overcome so much. It's okay that this person in front of you doesn't understand you. You are amazing. You are a catch, whatever it might be, right? Self-kindness. So mindfulness, common humanity, self-kindness. This is what it means to utilize the science of self-compassion. Okay, and then number 3, small, playful, imperfection exposures. So it's like exposure therapy, but I like to say like adding a little bit more goofy goober to the situation.
Okay, settle down. Take it easy. What the scallop? I'm a goofy goober!
Okay, so small playful exposures are moments where we intentionally let ourselves be a little bit messy, a little bit silly, a little bit more unfiltered in like more like safe social settings. This is really important because it shows our brain that we really don't have to be perfect to create connection. So it also helps to increase the feelings of dopamine and oxytocin and reinforces trust and social bonding with other people. But also it's a great moment as well of if a small playful exposure doesn't go well, like if you make a joke and no one laughs, then you just practice being compassionate with yourself. That simple, that easy, baby. So some examples of some small playful exposures are like igniting like levity to a situation. So trying to do something badly, like a silly dance, going off key a little bit, sending a meme to their group chat where you're like, I don't really know if this is their speed, but I'm gonna send it, right? It could be like scheduling a social experience that aren't just catch-ups, so like museum wandering, thrift scavenger hunts, craft nights, podcast walks, instead of just like your normal status quo in your friendships, mixing it up to do one of those things, asking them for it. It could also be like sharing something a little messy and laughing about it, right? So like, I just told the waiter, you too, who told me to enjoy my meal, right? So like sharing something that was like a little messy, a little imperfect with people. So these small little playful exposures are so helpful to also show your brain, hey, it's not the end of the world if my friend, doesn't fully agree with me. But if this person isn't like beaming after me and loving me after I say this, right? And you might hear these things and be like, okay, these also really sound like they are some of your tips for overcoming social anxiety. Yep. Y'all, all of these things overlap. They're like a big Venn diagram, honestly. Perfectionism is often a driving force in what makes us socially anxious, right? We feel shame about something. We don't want people to see something about ourselves. So we put on this guise that we are perfect. And then we get anxious of, oh my gosh, are they noticing the thing I'm shaming about? Are they thinking I'm perfect? Are they judging me? I need to make sure I control their perceptions of me. Because if they like me, that must mean I am perfect enough, right? All of these things just overlap. So yeah, if you do these things, it's going to help release perfectionism in your friendships. It's going to help your social anxiety, and it's going to help you really enjoy yourself. Like truly, y'all, every step towards embracing your imperfect self is a step toward a culture that invites connection over polished performance for everybody around you. This work is why I do what I do. So y'all, I have been offering my 6-month one-on-one coaching program for 5 years now. And I created this program, I stuck with this program, and I say stuck with it because I had so many other options and opportunities, but I stuck with this program because I know that there's so many people out there that are struggling with social perfectionism, that are feeling overly responsible, like I need to control how everybody feels around me. They're struggling with internal perfectionism and shame. And y'all, we were never meant to edit ourselves relentlessly. We were never meant to try to edit ourselves into being loved, right? I created this program for the sensitive and thoughtful, heart-centered humans who just want to be done with performing, and they're ready to feel proud of who they are and how they show up in the world, especially in their friendships, right? And y'all, so many of you, if you're listening to this, you're not just starting like from scratch. You know you have confidence in there, and you just want to enjoy it more. Show up more fully. Finally feel the kind of friendships that you've always craved, like the ones that feel safe and exciting and real. That comes from really being your authentic self. And I want to help you do that and help you stop letting perfectionism run the show. I want to help you turn down your inner critic and turn up the part of you that knows that you're magnetic when you are relaxed and having fun. I want to help you build the kind of confidence that makes connection feel fun, like connection, socializing with other people feel fun, instead of like a test you are trying to pass. Because ew, right? I want to help you feel more present, more playful, and more proud of the way you show up in your life and all of your relationships. Because y'all, you do not need to be fixed. We are not here to fix you. We are here to help you enjoy being you and to let your people feel that. Feel how much you enjoy yourself. And this is the last year that I am offering this beloved 6-month one-on-one coaching program. My eyes are stinging. They're stinging, but it's a little late in the day, so I don't think I have energy to cry. Cool. Okay. But if you've been craving confidence that feels like home and friendships that feel like you, this is your invitation. And you can learn more about my 6-month program below. Because y'all, you can do this. You can feel proud of how you show up. You can walk into friendships and feel like you really belong there, like flaws and all. And I would be honored to walk beside you as you do. Thank you so much for listening. If this podcast meant something to you, it would also mean so much to me if you shared it to your Instagram story and tagged me, and let me know in the comments what you want to hear next. Go out there and delight in your humanness, enjoy who you are, have delightful connection, and I will see you next week.